Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Speak Life podcast. We are so excited to have you with us for another wonderful week. I am your host, Minister Phoenix, alongside my beautiful wife and amazing co-host.
Hey guys, welcome again to the Speak Life podcast. This is your co-host, the one and only Shika. Yes, one and only. We're so happy that you're here with us today to listen on what we're going to be talking about.
All right, yes. So if this is your first time joining us on the podcast, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment to be a part of the conversation. And if you are part of our faithful listeners, we love y'all.
Yeah,
that's the best way that I could put it. We love y'all.
We appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you guys. You are the ones that give us the motivation to keep doing this, the feedback we get. You know, it just keeps us going. So we appreciate y'all for just rocking with us week after week.
Week after week.
Now today, you hear me say it week after week, but today we do have an interesting topic. Yet again, I think we're full of interesting topics. So we have another interesting topic that we are going to jump into today. It's going to be a little different with the flow of how we do things, but I think there's still some gems to be dropped. And today, the topic that we're really going to jump into is this topic of identity. You know, we talked about self-esteem and things like that were related to identity, but today we really want to talk about identity. And the insight that I got for really just wanting to talk about this topic, you know, sparked from a conversation that I was having with my mentor mom as we were, you know, having our brunch. You know, shout out to my mentor mom, Kara McCarthy. Shout out to you. You're the best. You know, and
I love
she really is the best.
And
that's all I need to say. If you know, you know. You know?
Don't, then you don't.
If you don't, you don't. But anyone who knows her, like, she really is the best, you know.
Yeah,
so
she's a gem.
I appreciate, you know, just having that relationship, you know. So, but she said to me as we were sitting over brunch, she said, you know, there's something about when you navigate life through the lens of faith. And I was like, wow, I never even really thought about that. She's like, it's just like y'all just see things
Different.
you know, some like different. And I was like, you know, and that just like really got my wheels turning on this. I was like, you know, I think we're going to talk about identity this week. You know?
I love it.
Yeah. So I'm about to pose a really deep question.
Oh,
to you.
Lord.
This is a
Am
deep.
I ready?
I'm
ready
I'm
for
asking myself if I'm ready for this because it really is a deep question, and even to you at home, I'm gonna pose the same question to y'all. You know, if I were to ask you, who are you?
Oh, who am I?
How would you respond to that question?
Wow, who am I?
I told you it's gonna be a little different flow from, you know, how we usually rock, but I really think it's a really
But you know what? That's good.
interesting question
That's good.
to ask.
That's good. Who am I? So, oh wow, if someone just come up to me and they're like, Shika,
But you think about it, it's like we don't think about it, but when you really think about it, like,
yeah,
it's really not as easy a question to answer as someone would think.
So who am I? All right.
Who are you?
Am I?
Who are you?
Who am I? Who is Shika?
Who is
All
Shika?
right. So I have to say that I am a mother.
Mm-hmm.
I am a wife.
Mm-hmm.
I am a follower of Christ. I am strong. I am ambitious. I love to love. What else? I am a sister. I am somebody's daughter. I am a friend. I I am an aunt.
It's a loaded question.
It
is a really loaded question.
I am a granddaughter.
See, there are so many. It's like it is not as easy a question
It's
to
not
answer.
like I am a like, yeah.
Yeah.
I am forgiven.
No, I was really thinking about this.
I don't know what
I
if
was
there's
like,
a right or wrong or what,
I was
like
this is crazy. This is a crazy question to ask because
Yeah.
there's so many different ways that we could actually answer this. And I remember being on an interview. I was on an interview for a teaching position, and the principal asked me. She was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Who am I? Like career wise, like teacher wise?
yeah, oh
like,
yeah, I am a
what do you-
teacher.
How do you?" I was like, "How do you
I
want me
forgot
to?"
that one.
She's like, "Who are you? Just tell me who you are." And it's like, I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, that is a very, it's a very loaded question, And I look at it and I'm like, depending on what part of my life you ask me this question,
Could be different, yeah.
you would really get a lot of different answers. I think about when I was younger, it's like I would identify primarily by race.
Oh yeah, I'm a black woman.
I would identify by race and where I was from in the city. So I'd be like, I'm a black dude from Roxbury. You would hear that. That would be probably my. Who are you?
That's what you get.
I'm a black dude from Roxbury.
So now you know
where
you are in your life now, it's like
as you progress, you
Yeah.
get some people who identify themselves by just their positions and their status in life. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a teacher. I'm a millionaire. I'm a CEO. And literally that is their life. I look at it now and I'm like, the best way that I could answer this question, and it's gonna sound really it is going to sound really cliche, and I don't mean it to, but there's a reason. When I think about it, I was like, how? Because I was wondering, I was like, when I come up with these questions that we work on, I'm like, how am I gonna? I'm asking these questions, but
yeah, I don't know.
How am I gonna
I put a lot
this?
out there because I'm like,
how am I gonna answer these questions? And I said, if I could answer, if I could put something to be the number one thing that I could answer, in this, and then put things in a sort of a hierarchy order underneath. I think the first thing I would say is I'm a child of God. And I'll tell you why in a second. I'd say I'm a child of God. I'm a black man. I am a father. I'm a husband. And then everything else would come after that. The teaching, all that stuff, all that other stuff.
Oh, so you said it in an order that you.
I'll tell you why I put it in that order.
See, I didn't even think of that. I just.
No, I was doing some deep thought as I was coming up with this. I was like, I can't be on air and just not have an answer when I'm asking you these questions. When I'm like, because it really, like I said, it's a loaded question.
It is.
And I thought about it. I'm like, when you have people who find their identity in their jobs, in their positions, in their values, like the things, not even their values, but their value, as in their net worth and things like that, and we see it all the time. When they lose those things, the thing that they cherish so much, the thing that they find their identity in, then they no longer think that their life is worth anything. And then they end up killing themselves, or they don't know how to live life anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
And I thought about this, and I was like,
I didn't think about it like that.
and I was like, out of all these things that I could possibly say that I am, me being a child of God is not something that could ever change. I could never lose that. That could never. No matter how much I'll mess up, no matter how much I feel unworthy, no matter how much and how crazy
You'll
life
still
can
be
get,
a child of God.
there is nothing that will ever be able to separate me from Him.
From the love of God. Wow.
And if I keep my identity there, even when life happens, because
Life-
life happens.
life happens.
life happens. If my identity is in something that can't go away, then my identity will never change.
Wow, that's powerful. So
And
you put it in a way what's more important.
I put
in
it
that
in
order.
I put it in a way of what I can't mess up. and I say it like that because, you know, I could have a job. I could be a teacher for now and come across someone who wants to ruin my career. And if they do that, I'm no longer a teacher. And then where's my identity? You know, I could have money. And if I say, you know, if God blesses me and makes me a millionaire, money can come, but money can go. You know, but the overarching thing, and this is, and for me, it was like, you know, this is what makes me who I am.
Yeah, wow.
Because I can never be a father. I can never be a husband. I can never be any of those things, at least an effective one, without him. And you know,
Right.
as much as we try to make it seem like, you know, we can, at one time or another, we're gonna fail, we're gonna mess up, we're gonna be in a position
yeah.
where we aren't living up to the highest potential of what we can. But the fact of the matter is, the one thing that will never change for me I'll always be God's son. I may be his trouble child at times, but I'll still be his son. And I remember one thing that stuck out to me when I was thinking about this. I remember when I first started thinking about going into ministry. And I remember when we were going through the application process and everything. And I remember having a conversation with Aunt Verna. And this conversation sticks with me. It sticks with me. You know,
Oh, God bless her soul.
she's amazing. Another angel.
Miss her every day.
Angel in her own right.
Every day.
Angel in her own right. But I remember we were doing the application and I was sitting there and we were just I don't even remember what we was talking about. But I was like, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about going into ministry and I'm like, you know, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. And she was like, the rest of your life, you know? And that's the thing. It's like, once you make that decision and you're like, you know what, God, it's me and you, I'm rocking with you. I believe you. I accept you. You know, I know I'm not perfect. I know I sin, but I believe you sent your son to die for me. I believe that, you know, he went on the cross for me, resurrected, you know, and now he's sitting at your right hand and I accept him as my Lord and Savior. And when you get to that piece where you become God's child, there's nothing that could ever change that.
Wow.
There's nothing that could alter that identity. Now, your thoughts could get messed up and you could forget who you are, but it doesn't change the fact of
You're God's
who
child.
you are. And for me, that was like, I was like, wow. I thought about it before, but I never thought about it like that.
Wow. I know. I'm curious to see what else you have there.
I told you it's gonna be a little different today. And then after that, I put it in the hierarchy. You know, I'm black. I'm unapologetically black. I'm blackity black, y'all. Blackity black. And I'm not talking about just any black. I'm super black American black. You know,
Yeah,
a lot of
Jamaican.
people. A lot of people make that mistake and think I'm Jamaican or West Indian, but no, your boy is from
American.
that big island known as the United States
of
of America. Our oceans on the sides of our island are the Atlantic and the Pacific. And, you know, we got the Gulf of Mexico down there, but that's my island. That's the island I'm from.
All right, let's
The
see what
United
else
States
you have on the list.
of America.
That's
You
funny.
know? So one of the things that I was wondering as I was thinking about this, you're talking about identity. What are some of the dangers when you don't know who you are?
Oh gosh, you'll fall for anything. When you don't know who you are, you will go for any and everything.
Elaborate on that. What do you mean by that?
You will just like whatever people tell you, that's what you're gonna believe. If they tell you that you are whatever. I can't even come up with something. Like, you'll believe it.
This comes back to that agreements episode that we
Yeah.
was talking about.
You will believe it. You know, it doesn't matter what someone tell you. If they tell you that you will never become anything in life, you're going to believe it. If they tell you that, you know what, you'll never be a good father, you will never own your own house, you will never be able to buy a car, you will never be able to travel, like, you're gonna believe all those things, like, whatever it is, like, oh, God doesn't love you, like, you're a Satan child, or whatever. You're gonna believe it when you don't know who you are. And that's why it's important. Like, and there was and I think I talked about this before, there was a point in my life where I used to value the opinion of people, like what they had to say about me. I used to hold on to it and I used to run with it. But where I am in my life right now, I could care less. You could tell me, like, whatever. Okay, that's your opinion.
I could care
And
less.
it doesn't define who I am. I'm going to keep it moving. And that's where I am in my life right now, where I don't really have time. I don't have time to waste. And because I know who I am now,
I know who I am.
I really don't have the time to waste, because I have greater things that I'm trying to do, and there's greater in me, and I can't allow anything to kind of rob that from me, you know? So I found who I am, and I love it, you know? So I have to really enjoy who I am.
Now, one of the things that I was in some serious thought. Oh man, I feel like with this topic, there's so many different pieces that goes along with it. And when I was thinking about this, there's a lot of different things that was coming into my mind, and and just this question of, like, when people don't know, or even when people don't understand who they are, they don't understand their identity. One of the things that really sticks out to me is when people don't know or really understand who they are. It's like they find themselves trying to be something they're not.
Yeah.
And in that piece of not understanding who you're called to be and who you're meant to be, when you're chasing after being someone you're not, or projecting something that you're not, one thing that I've always noticed is when people are trying to be something they're not, the true them will always come out.
You're right. Eventually, it may not come out
at one time or another.
You're right.
When you don't really know who you are, and you try, when you don't know who you are, you will always try to project something, and that something will not be your true self.
Wow. Your true self, one way or the other,
your true self,
will
one way or another, will
manifest
come out.
itself.
You know how they be like, fake it till you make it? Well, you can fake it, but at one time or another, who you are is always going to come out.
Wow.
What you have deep down inside of you, what you dwell on, what you think about, how you view yourself, your true self.
Wow. It's true. It's
no
biblical.
No matter how hard you fake it or
Your
hide
true
it
self is gonna
or
come
try
out.
to conceal it, at one time or another, it will always come out.
Wow. You're right. That's true.
It may come out in your actions. It may come out in your words. It may come out in
Your
ways
attitude.
ways that you act.
It's true.
But at one time or another,
it's gonna come
it's
out.
always going to come out. And the problem is the fact that people don't know who they are. It causes a conflict inside of them, where it's like they want to be someone that they're not, but it's like
It's like a battle within
yeah,
themselves.
it really is. It really is. And then you see that conflict pop out when something else pops up. And I look at that. That's just one piece that I look at.
So would that? So it's something like that. Like, would that be? how would you as a person know that you having trouble with your identity?
So here's the thing.
Like,
Here is the thing right here. And this is something that I'm gonna take it back to when I was in college. When I was going through my criminal justice course, I had this professor. He was actually the deputy superintendent for Suffolk County Sheriff's
yeah, I
Department.
remember you telling me about that.
And one of the things he said in class, he's like, he's like, when you're in these jails, he's like, and you see these people, he's like, you always have, he's like, you'll find someone who's tough. And he's like, he's like, there's always someone tougher. He's like, but at the end of the day, he's like, no matter how tough they are, when they put their head down on that pillow, they have to wrestle with themselves. They have to deal with who they really are. And it doesn't matter how you try to project who you want to be. At the end of the day, you know who you are. You know how you are. You know everything. The worst person you can lie to
It's yourself.
is yourself. And there always comes a time where you have to deal with yourself and how you are.
Wow. That's interesting because I know that through the pandemic, I mean, we're still in a pandemic, but like
It seems like it's lightening up.
I
I don't know if it is, but
I know it
maybe
seemed like it.
we're just restless and we're just like, we need to get out these houses. But it seems like it's
Yeah,
lightening
it's like
up.
we're going
It may
back to
not be
normal.
true, but it seems
seemed
like it.
But when we were like really deep into it,
Deep in the
beginning,
pandemic.
yeah, I remember that, while we were home and everything was shut down, during my time with, spending time with the Lord and like in my devotion, I remember I used to take the time to get to know me. And let me say that, everybody can understand. Before I was like, I'm still busy, but before it was like, you go to work, it's like so much hustling, bustling. And it's like, you don't really take time to figure out your triggers, figure out like, become like familiar with you. It's like, it's just always so noisy that you don't find the quiet time to really think about who you are as a person. And during that time when it was like everything was shut down, I had nothing to do but like, yes, hang out with you guys, my family. And,
Hey, I make for good company.
You do, but I'm just
Some
saying like there
days.
was times like when I'm like, okay, it's my time now that I need to spend with God. And during those times, I used to like take time to really figure out me. Like, why do I act the way I act? Why do I think the way I think? Why do I have a trust issue with people? Like, why is Sheikah the way she is? And it was something like I was like, I have to become aware of me.
That's like some serious self-evaluation.
And awareness for me was like a eye-opener. Like, wow, I find out so much about me that I didn't even know about me. And, in that quiet time. So a lot of people, it's like hard for them to become aware of who they are and understand who they are and be okay with who they are without someone telling them like, oh, this is me, this is how you are, that's it. A lot of people want some people to tell them or want people to see them one way, but for me, I'm like, I don't want to keep hearing people saying, oh, Sheikah is so nice, Sheikah is this, Sheikah, like, there's a lot of internal things that I'm dealing with and I need to know why. So I can't wait for someone to tell me what I'm dealing with or how I am until I know and come to face with those things. And I find out that honesty is everything. I had to be honest with myself and be okay with being honest with myself. I cry and I'm like, and I have to be okay with me to say, you know what? Yes, there's ways that I have which I wish I didn't love people so much where if they get me upset, I could just tell them off and just forget about them. But then I said, you know what, Sheikah, you have to be okay with knowing that that's not you. And that will never be you, because that's not in you.
I'm still having God wrestle
You
me
know?
with that fact.
So
that that's not you.
it's like,
Sometimes I be wanting it to be you.
yeah, like sometimes you're like, Lord, why do you make me like
I'm
this?
like,
Where like I just
I'm
sit and
talking
let
about-
people just walk all like, God, why?
That's what I
But
be
then,
asking you, like, why you be letting people?
you know. But
man.
honestly though,
It's true.
I've come to the realization that I am who I am. I am not a fighter. Oh yeah, one time down the line I was, but I feel like after you find Christ, there has to be something that changed about you. You can't just be the same. And during that time of me understanding and knowing me, I had to be okay with saying, you know what? If someone treat me a way that I don't like, I have to be okay with, Sheikah, you have to be okay with knowing that you are not going to step out of who you are to try to fire back or whatever it is, because that's not you. And I didn't know how to deal with stuff like that. Because in my head, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I just really want to just tell you something that can hurt you. Like how much I feel like you're hurting. But it's like, but Sheikah, that's not who you are. So it doesn't matter how much you wish you were different. That's not who you are. And you will never be like that. So be okay, be comfortable, be happy with knowing that you're not like that. And that was a struggle for me. But now I'm like, you know what? And we talked about it before. We talk about when you find peace and you feel the way peace feel, like how peace make you feel.
That is
You'll do
irreplaceable.
anything
to
keep
maintain that. Anything
And
to maintain that.
I love the fact that I know who I am, that I am not that. I am not a person who love argument, who love to fight. I'm not that. And I would do anything for peace. And that's where I'm at in my life. So I'm just like, you know what? I found peace and I love it. And I would do anything because that's part of who I am. That's my identity. So
There's a few things that you said there that I thought were really interesting. One of them was this concept of being honest with yourself. And a reason that I thought this was pretty interesting was because I feel like a lot of people know how they are and who they are, and they don't like it. But there's a big but to this. Although they don't like it, they don't take steps to change it. So that's where we get this projection of what they, want to be, or what they want people to think that they are, or how they want people to think that they are. And there's a few pieces of this that I really, really do want to explore. The first one is like, what do you do when you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see per se, or you evaluate? No, this is a hard one. This is a hard one. Or you evaluate how you are as a person, because there's some I don't want to make it sound as bad as it is, but there's some people who are really just not nice individuals.
you're right. I know for me, and mine may not be anything that's crazy as some people who are like really wicked or whatever, and that's the only word you could use to describe them, is like wicked. But I remember, and I talked about this before, when I was battling, like, it was like always just caring what people think about me. And it was more damaging to myself than any good, because it's like, I was like a people pleaser, and that's all I would want to do. And I remember, like, no lie, I remember I had to I was crying. I was praying and I was crying. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to care what people think anymore. take me away, like take this out of me. I just don't want it. I don't want to care. And I'm not saying, okay, to not care about how you carry yourself, how you act. But for me, it was bad. It was bad. It's like everything I do, I was like, oh, what is so-and-so going to think? What is it? And you make yourself so anxious. And so like, it's like a battle. For me, it was a battle. And I had to pray and ask God for deliverance. Like, I feel like it was a spirit that was like holding me back, because there's so, and the overthinking, and thank God for deliverance, just always overthinking. And I had to pray. And at times I had to rebuke, and I'm like, Lord, whatever this is, because I know this can't be of you, because I feel like I had no peace in my mind. So I really had to pray, because I identify with, like, I know I was aware of it, and I know it's something that was bigger than me.
I think that's a
big
piece
that I couldn't get rid of on my own. And that's when I had to turn to God, and I'm like, Lord, I need you sincerely. I was praying with prayer. The Bible says with prayer and supplication, let your request
be made
known to the Lord. And like for me, I was praying, and I was really sincere in my prayer that, God, I really want you to take away these things from me, because it cannot be of you. It's tormenting me. And I feel like a bird. I could fly. I'm free. And that's why I'm saying that, and until you understand, honestly, until you're somewhere where you're like, oh Lord, take me away from it. I don't want this anymore. And when God take you away from it, you'll do anything not to go back there.
With that, because I feel like it takes some time to get there.
It does. Oh yeah, because it took me a while.
And the reason I say that is this. I feel like it takes some time to get there, because you can be used to being a certain way and then think that's okay and that's how it has to be. Perfect example. I was having a great conversation with my brother who guest stars on the podcast. Sometimes he hasn't been on for a while, so I'm throwing shade. Yeah, he needs to get up on his podcasting. But we were having this conversation one time, and you can be in dysfunction, and because you see dysfunction a lot, you think that dysfunction is normal, but it's not normal. So we were just sharing, we have conversations about the past and experience, and he was like, we were just talking one time. He's like, after talking to his therapist, he's like, it took him a while to understand that some of the things that we saw growing up wasn't normal. Yeah. It's like, it's not normal to have to see your friends dying at a young age. It's not normal to have friends who are, shot and killed. It's not
at such a young age.
It's not normal to be in neighborhoods where, they sell drugs and, it's crime ridden. He's like, we see it a lot. He's like, but the fact is that's not normal behavior. It's not normal for children to have to see things like that and experience things like that. But when you live in that dysfunction and you see it so often, it's easy to think that that's how it should be.
That's how it is.
So I feel like sometimes we have people who have identified with dysfunction, and it's like because they've seen it, because their friends have seen it, because the people that, are around them have seen it, they start to think that that's normal. And then when they look at it and they see that identity, they're like, there's nothing wrong with that.
And this is how it should be.
This is how it should be. So it's okay for me to operate like this.
But I feel like at that point, it takes someone who actually, like myself, like the fact that, I've been there where may not struggle with the same thing that other people struggles with, but I've been there and I've seen how I didn't want to be there. So I feel like sometimes it takes someone who's been there before, who knows how it feel, who have experienced that, to say, I was like, this is what I was dealing with. And look, I'm free from it. You can be free too. Or, something like that. Or to encourage them like, okay, maybe you should seek some kind of help or something like that. Like, I feel like for me to get to the point where I'm like, I feel like I need to seek outside help to get a therapist, I feel like I had to become aware of who I am first. And I feel like if I had not been, like last year, 2020, if I didn't go through that season of becoming aware of who I am and to get to know me as a person, I feel like today sitting here, I wouldn't think that I need to see a therapist. Until I recognize that there's something different. There's something wrong. There's an underlying issue that I can't help me from. And yes, I prayed and God deliver me through some things. But then God give us wisdom where it's like, okay, you know what? Now it's time to seek help to kind of help you to get further to where I'm trying to get you. And because I was like, I don't need no counselor. I don't need nothing. I don't need no therapist. I'm fine. But after I went through that season of my life, I've come to realize like, no, you need to see somebody. And I've been seeing, I have a therapist, and I'm telling you, it's something I look forward to every single week. Like, I'm not even home yet. I'm in the car and I'm like, yep, you could call me. I'm not home, but like, if this is the only time you have for my session, yes, call me, because I cannot miss a week without talking to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you get that, but I feel like first you have to become aware. You have to identify with the things that you're struggling with and look it in the face and be like, okay, yes, I know that I struggle with this. Yes, I know that this is a problem for me, but you know what? I'm going to fix it. And you have to get to there.
And so for this one,
I think I just went on like a whole.
No. I like where you went, because there's something that I want to put in that piece where, what if, and this is something.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm gonna go into it, but I realized this is something that I was dealing with when I first got saved, and I relate a lot to when I always look back and reflect on the times where I was like, before I found God, and how my life looked and my mindset, because before I found God, I had a really messed up mindset. Like, my mind, I was like trying to hurt people. I was angry at like the world, because like literally like the world. There was like I don't think there was anyone that I wasn't angry at for no reason whatsoever, except for the fact that my life was not as, it wasn't good. It really wasn't good. I was like, I was suicidal at a point. There were times where I'm like, I didn't value my life, where I was willing to throw my life away over silliness, like absolute just stupid stuff. Like, someone staring at me for more than 3 seconds, I was ready to fight you over like just staring at me, because my mind was, so messed up. But I look at a situation like this, and especially when you got people whose world revolves around dysfunction. It's like, when you attack that thing, because that's how it feels, when you are attacking that thing, and this is what makes it hard for people to have that moment that you're talking about, where you say, you got to come to yourself and realize that where you are is there's something wrong, and it needs to change. When everything that person knows revolves around dysfunction and something that's not normal, when they attack that, or when they have to deal with that, then it becomes everything they've ever known is a lie, or everything that they've ever known as being normal, as being, how they survive in the world, needs to change. So now it's like you're taking that whole reality that they had, everything that they consider their world, And now you're telling them like, listen, this whole thing, that these life experiences you had, this life that you
It's
lived,
time for you to throw it away. Yeah.
you have to pretty much tear it up
Yeah.
and rebuild it.
It's not easy.
That's a hard pill to swallow for someone who's lived their whole life
And dysfunction.
in dysfunction.
I mean, I understand. I definitely see that and understand. But I feel like you have to come to the point where I got to, where I was like sick and tired of being in a mindset that I was in.
But a lot of people, and the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that the mindset that they have is messed up.
But you know what, though, honestly, this comes, and that this is the importance of like praying and asking God to just help you to be who he wants you to be. And this has always been my prayer. My prayer has always been, Lord, help me to be who you want Sheikah to be. Not who Sheikah wants to be, but who you want me to be. And another prayer that I've always prayed is like, Lord, send people in my life that belongs here, that needs to be here in my life, who I can like mesh with and find purpose, in something. I don't know.
I think this is gonna be the episode where I bother you the most, because I got so many questions.
No, honestly, like
I'm pulling it out of you this one.
So I just really, it started first with me just praying and saying, God, I really want you to help me to be who you want me to be. And it's like something just started. Like, it's like God just started working on my inside and changing some things. And then it leads to like, okay, now you got to deal with your internal, like what people can't see. You got to deal with that. And it wasn't easy to deal with it, but I feel like God prepared me to say, I'm going to, because for so long, I like my aunt, like she was like so close to me, where I feel like I've always have her to lean on, and sometimes she would tell me like, oh, you need to do this, or you need to, but there's times like she didn't really tell me all the stuff I need to change about me. It's kind of like you're enabling or something like that. So after she passed away, I'm like, oh, my cushion is gone.
What do I do?
My world is gone, and I had nobody to lean on but God. Really, like to lean on but God, because if I feel sad, I would call her, I would cry on her shoulder, I would talk her ear off, I would, and if she tell me something that I didn't believe, as far as like, well, you should have did this differently, I would be like, nope, I did it right. And I would go back and forth with her until she's like, okay, well, I see why you did that then. So it's like she kind of give in, like, but no, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want, so after you lose it all, then you have nobody to depend on but God. And then when you depend upon God and you ask God, like, God, help me to be who you want me to be, then it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to shed some things. I'm going to change some things inside of you. And now I'm going to break you so you could sit down and think about who you are. You don't want to think about who you are, but I am going to break you. So that you can think about the things that you're running from.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm happy. I really thank God that he was able to do that. Like, I don't know if you remember,
I hope y'all wrote that down. That was a gem.
I don't know if you remember, but there's times when I used to like, we be sitting and I'm like, okay, I gotta go pray. It's like something just hit me, like, get up, and I would go in my closet and like, I would pray, and I would be
mid-watching TV. I gotta go pray. Like, what? We in the middle of binge watching a series. You going where? Popcorn's in hand. Where you going?
But those are the moments for me that I had to come to grip with, and I had to be obedient to when I was being prompted to do stuff. And it's during that time that the weirdest time, I would hear it in my head, there like, get
terms.
Up and go pray. And I'll be like, wait, no. Like, and it's like yes, get up and go pray. And I would get up and go pray, and I would just be crying. I would come back and you'd be like, you're looking at me thinking like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I went to pray, but I had to cry. I was crying. I was talking to God. I was crying. But it's during that time, those times where God is speaking to me about myself, and I have to like shed some tears, and I had to like really, get tough and be like, you know what, Lord, okay, I'm willing to do what you want me to do.
And honestly, I was really gonna ask you that, and you said it before I could even get it out, because it was gonna be my question to you. I was gonna say, how do you get to that point? How do you get to that point where you have to come face to face with yourself? And you pretty much told us, and I really hope y'all were paying attention. She said, it takes sometimes God gotta break you down.
Yeah.
God gotta break you down in order for you to actually take that time to reflect and be like, oh wow, this is where I am. This is what I need to change.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm still not quite where I need to be, but I've made a lot of progress where I honestly don't care about, you could tell me like, Sheikah, you're amazing, you're doing a great job. Or you could be like, Sheikah, you know what? You just can't get this. Like, you just don't understand this or whatever. It doesn't matter what you tell me. Yes, it will hurt for a little bit, but you know what? I've been like into so many difficult situations where I'm like, you know what? I just let it, like, I may cry, but you better believe if I cry, it's going to run right off. And it's nothing that you could do for me to try to go back there.
And honestly, I think there's a lesson in just that breaking piece. I think sometimes, like, God will allow things to happen, and to us, it seems like it's the end of the world. It's the worst times of our lives. And yet still, it's in those moments that he'll allow us to understand certain
teachable
things
moments, yeah,
about ourselves. And like,
and I thank God
I think
for
that's
it.
like one of the greatest things that you could have said is the fact that it is a teachable moment. And I always say, there's lessons that we learn in our valley experiences that we could never learn on the mountaintop. There's lessons and things that God will show us where we're going through those worst times of our lives that we would not be able to understand or even to see when, we're living our best lives and everything's going good and everything's the way that we want it to go. But I think that understanding who you are piece and really getting a true picture of who you are helps in order to get where you need to be.
Oh yeah, you have to understand it.
And I mean, you got to be real with like who you are. If you have a trash personality, like, you need to understand that, like, that needs to change. You need to see yourself for who you are before you'll ever be able to change that.
It's like somebody who is who misuse or I don't know. I don't want to say in a way where it's like hurtful or whatever, but it's like someone who take like
abuse drugs.
Yeah.
Just abuse drugs. Yes.
Yeah.
Say it for what it is.
It's
if
like
you are abusing drugs, yes.
It's like someone who does that, right? It doesn't matter how much you tell the person
you
that
can't tell them nothing.
it's gonna hurt you.
They're like,
or it's gonna kill you.
It's gonna kill me?
It's like until they become aware of it and say, okay, you know what? This is dangerous for me. This is gonna kill me if I don't stop. Doesn't matter what you and I tell them or anybody tell them. They're not going to.
Nah,
they
it
have
ain't
to
even that. Honestly, I think with that piece, it's just like you said, but it's just in a different form. Until they hit that rock bottom breaking point, they're not going to change.
Yeah. But I feel like, but the thing about it too, for some people, it's something that is not easy. The things that people struggle with, the things that they go through, it's really not easy to change. Like, I don't even know how to, and I feel like now that I'm going through, school for counseling and stuff like that, like I've taken different classes to understand like the way, people
teach us, counselor.
the way
Teach
people
us.
think and
Come on,
like
Doc.
what goes on, in their mind, especially when they're abusing drugs or alcohol or whatever. It's like it's not something that they could just get up and change on their own like that. Like it's gonna take a lot of intervention, a lot of family support. You need a system. You need support, even though and what a lot of people think is that like, okay, well, you have a family support system, and we're all trying, and the support thinks that, okay, well, you're 3 weeks in, you're sober, you're good, or whatever, and you're done. No,
That's
like
a lifelong thing.
it's a
man.
lifelong thing. You gotta be there for the person throughout their entire life, helping them through this, guiding them through it, so that they don't go and relapse. So it's like it's something where you really have to make up in your mind that you're gonna have to ask for help. And most time, because of pride, we talk about pride, because of pride and because you don't want to disappoint people and you don't want to hurt your loved one, it's like you act like you're not doing it, or you act like you're getting better, but you're really not. You're really not.
Honestly, I relate addiction recovery to a faith walk. And what I mean by that is this. If you stay plugged in to your source, you will make it. For example, and my brother Gerald will be able to talk more about this, but with addiction, things like that, when they're going to the meetings, you have to stay plugged into your support system. You got to stay plugged into the thing that's keeping you out of it. You got to stay plugged in. You got to go to the meetings. You got to do what you need to do to make sure that you're not falling into those same circumstances.
Yeah.
And although even when you have a fall, you can still get back up and get back at it. It's the same thing with faith. You got to stay at it. You got to stay plugged into it. You got to keep doing it. It doesn't mean that there's not going to come a time where you slip, or you almost slip, or you're thinking about it, or you're struggling. You're going to have those moments. But the minute you're not plugged in is the minute you're going to fail.
Yeah, and sometimes too, it depends on like the kind of situation you're in, and it's also dependent upon like the different counseling you're getting. Like sometimes that one-to-one counseling, sometimes that's not gonna cut it, because you need to see that other people who are struggling with the same things that you're struggling, and how they are able to overcome it. Like for instance, like I feel like if you're addicted to something, the best kind of therapy for you is like group session, where you could see that, okay, you know what? Well, this person is in the group session, but this person used to be like really, really bad at like just like every day going at it, misusing, drugs or whatever like that. But then now he can say like, listen, I'm a month sober, but you're brand new at it, and you're like, oh man, how did you get to a month? I feel like I can't even go an hour or whatever it is. So it's like you kind of like lean on each other. Then like you see one person doing it, you're like, oh wow, well if he do it, then I can do it. And so I feel like those group sessions, it's always going to be helpful for the individual to kind of get out of whatever it is that they're in. So it could be, and honestly, it's not just for drug abusers. It's not just for people who misuse alcohol. It could be for anything. People who have depression, anxiety, whatever it is, other people kind of like help them through, like, oh wow, well I used to be depressed, oh god, I was suicidal or whatever it is, but this is how I overcome. And most time, honestly, is to get your mind off of like those things, like to just distract yourself, do something, go somewhere, and just another support system.
So here, this is gonna be our wrap question. Right,
I know
here.
we're like all over the place.
No, I think we're in line. I think we're in line with maintaining identity and things like that, and really approaching and understanding how to break some of these things that keep us in these different places. But here, this is gonna be a good wrap question.
Okay.
I don't like my identity. How can I change it? I don't like how I am. I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I realize, like, you know what? I really don't like the way that I am. there's things about me I had this conversation with God before. I was like, God, there's some things about me I really don't like. There's some things about me you're gonna have to teach me how to change. But if I'm a person who is really unhappy with the type of person that I am, maybe I'm mean, maybe I'm cruel, maybe I'm a liar, maybe I'm deceitful, maybe there's just some things about my personality that I don't like. What are some steps that I can do to change it?
I feel like
in
first,
your opinion,
in my opinion, the fact that you're aware of these things is everything. And first, you just have to surround yourself with like-minded people. Like, so for instance,
that is a big thing. Write that down if you ain't write that down. That is huge. Sorry for cutting you off.
So if you're trying to say for instance, if you're a liar,
I tell lies.
Yeah, you can't surround yourself with liars.
Yeah,
with other
you
liars.
can't be with liars. That ain't gonna work.
If you are someone who has anxiety or you're depressed or whatever it is, you have to find yourself around people who are happy. You can't be around people who are negative all the time.
That's true.
You got to find yourself and try to do things that's happy. Think about things that make you happy. Think about things that, bring you to that happy place.
So if I'm a thief, I can't hang around other people still, basically.
No. And honestly, if you're a thief, then you're like, okay, I want to go into the store, but I don't got money. Why you going to the store? You don't got no money.
Don't go to the store if you ain't got no money.
You're trying to tempt. That's very tempting. Like,
That's true.
No,
Especially
don't do that.
If you be
so
thieving.
You got to keep yourself out of situation that can bring you back to where you're not trying to be. And honestly, this is my opinion. This is my go-to. I always go to God. Like, Lord, I cannot do this without you. I need you because I know I can't do it without him. So therefore, that's always my first go-to.
But what if I don't know God?
And exactly. So what I said before, if you don't know God, then you're going to have to surround yourself with people who go in places with, like, if you want to go like, say for instance, if you're not working, you're a thief, you're not working, you need to find someone that you could hang out with that can try to help you to get a job or something like that. But you have to surround yourself with people who are going places. People who want to be better, in life. There's this saying that says, show me your friend and I'll tell you who you are. Like, honestly, I always look at that. And when I look at people to be my friend, how you are is what I think. I'm like, okay, and I pray. Honestly, I pray about who God should bring in my life and who I want him to take out of my life. Because I honestly, my mindset is that, like, I really need to be happy. I really need to be at peace. I really cannot deal with drama and all that stuff because I work too hard to get to where I'm at. And that's when I say, you have to protect your peace. So for someone who is going through a lot, bad, whatever it is, you really have to surround yourself with people who is going to bring you up and not people who are going to bring you down. And I always remember this saying, and I think, excuse me, I don't know if you know, but tell me if I'm saying it wrong. I don't want to quote her, Michelle Obama. Like, I love it when she's like, when they go
low.
Is it low?
When they go low,
you go high.
We go high.
Something like that.
Yeah,
and I
when
love
they go
that.
Low, we go high.
Yeah. And I love that because it's like, that just tell you, like, you don't have to act like how others act. You could be different. You don't have to act how they treat you. And yeah, that's what I have.
I think the friends thing is amazing because I feel like you always want to surround yourself with people who are either A, where you're trying to get to, or B, trying to get to where you're trying to get to. Like-mindedness, is huge. It's huge. They say, you never catch eagles flying with pigeons, because eagles have somewhere higher that they fly. Pigeons can't fly where eagles fly, because eagles soar and pigeons are just kind of like, pigeons are thugs. So, eagles hang with eagles, pigeons hang with pigeons. So you got to figure out where I think if I was struggling with my identity, if I was struggling with how I am and I wanted to change that, the first thing that I would do, I'd be like, where am I trying to get to in life? Where I'd evaluate where I'm at now, and then where am I trying to get to? And then I'd start thinking about what are some things that I can put in place to try to like get there, even small steps, lead to big endings. And I think sometimes when we look at things, we think we have to do something really huge, take these overwhelming steps to change, but like small steps towards change lead to big things in the end. And with that piece, like I know for me, like I said, faith for me plays a huge role in how I live my life and how I look at life. So for me, it's like I depend on God so at this point in my life, I've learned, because it's a process. I have learned to depend on God for things that I have no control over, things that are too big for me.
And I've seen that firsthand.
And there's times where I'm just like, God, like this, you got to take care of this. Like, because I know the character of who he is, it's like I understand that there's certain things that only he can take care of. And when things become too big for me, I no longer worry about them, because I'm like, it's out of my pay grade. God, that's what you do. Do what you do. I'm gonna sit here, trust that you're gonna do what you do. I'm gonna do my part to make sure I'm putting myself in the place for you to do what you can do. But at this point, you got to handle this, because this is too big for me, and that has been how I deal with things. Another thing that goes along with the friend piece is being able to have individuals around you that are going to be able to help you when you are going through certain situations. And with that piece, if I'm going to have you in my corner, if I'm going to have you as someone that I look to for guidance, or look to when I need a word, or look to when I need some encouragement, I have to be able to know that when you say something to me, it's coming from a good place. If I can't do that, if I don't have people around me like that, if I'm not willing to take those steps, then there's no way I'll be able to be better. Because I realize there's things about me that I can't see. And I see it happen with you all the time, where you'll be like, babe, you need to do this. And I'll be like, I don't particularly want to do this. I don't want to. I don't like it. I really think that that's how it should go. And then you have to, put me in my place. And when I say it like this, it's like, because I can get kind of, I can have tunnel vision at times. And you have to, come at me and like, listen, if I'm telling you, it's because I see it and it doesn't look good.
Yeah. And I always say this, I'm like, babe, I'm coming from a good place.
And you're like, why do you always... You're like, and she always pulls this. This is the one she pulls on me. And with this, it's like, as much as I don't like when she pulls it, I can't really say nothing. She's like, God put me in your life to help you. God didn't put me in your life to sit here. God put me in your life to help you. To see the things that you can't see. And it's like, as much as I hate hearing it, it's like, you can't argue with that, because that's the word. It's like, ugh, Jesus, this is your fault. I don't be saying that, but I'm like, God, she needs to stop pulling this. But it's like, in those moments, sometimes you just got to be like, you know what? You're in my corner. You're in my corner for this reason. I know you're in my corner and you're trying to see my best interest. And I'm going to, as much as I don't like it, I'm going to accept it, because I know who I have with me.
Yeah. And like, and it's because I know me as a person, and
I know you as a person too.
But I really don't waste my time on people that I don't care about. You know what I mean? And I really don't do that. So it's like, the fact that you're my husband and I'm like, I care about you. Like, I'm gonna tell you. Like, when I see things and I'm like, okay.
I don't appreciate that in a moment, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, like when I see you doing things and I'm like, hello, like.
She's like, babe, you need to wear a blazer. I don't want to wear a blazer. You need to wear a blazer. Trust me, you need to wear a blazer.
I'm like, you're going Lord. Here, like you should put on it, And sometimes it's like, okay, like I'm just trying to always look out for people that I care about, you know, and that's what I do. And it's the same thing with friends and family and stuff. And sometimes I get myself in trouble because I'm looking out too much, but that's just who I am. That's my identity, you know?
It is. Honestly, it is. But this has really been good.
Yes.
I didn't know it was going to be this great of an episode. So, you know.
Yes.
we
Just
gonna
remember.
We're going to wrap right there. Remember, death and life are in the power of the tongue. So
make sure you speak life.
Speak
if life.
you didn't like or subscribe yet, make sure you like. Make sure you
Subscribe.
subscribe. Make sure you comment. You know what? Tell us what's your identity. Who are you? Who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you? Let's see if you can answer that question. You know,
Who
we
are
love
you?
y'all. We thank y'all for tuning in, and we pray that you just have an amazing week.
Have an amazing week.
Oh, and if you haven't gotten the book,
When Three Roads Collide.
ThreeRoadsCollide.com. You can see everything that we're doing. Once again, we love y'all.
Love you guys.
Have a great week.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Blessings.
Blessings.